All right, let's get to the next topic of evidential factors. What is the difference between each eyeshadow palette created? Some eyeshadow palettes are created with names of people. Let me grab this one for per se example. All right, so this eyeshadow palette right here is created with elemental factors. This is not names of people. This is elemental factors of places that do exist. And this is different types of moons and stars in the Bible or different types of desert sand dust storms that does exist and where they exist. That is why it's called the 35U Gilded Desert Morphe palette, and Morphe is known as Elements. So this is a brand that talks about elements and weather connection, and this one talks about weather and people connection. So the two go hand in hand. So this one is 35 and this one is 35, so that's equal for equal. The F stands for female and this stands for weather. The U stands for weather and understanding. So this is a unified female format that says weather, and each female that creates that different type of patterning and weather based with their physical body and what they do, and if by the way they continue to stay females. Okay, so here's how I normally begin. Once again is by reading. And then I take a certain letter, which this one is the letter E, and I create words out of it that either doesn't exist or words that does exist. But the words that I create that doesn't exist brings a form and a physical property that does exist already. If it exists already, it just needs a name, meaning therefore it has been created. It just needs a name to be able to be seen as its own. So that's what I do when I break down the letter E from the word evidence. The word evident means does it already exist? Can it physically be seen in my hand, such as my cell phone can be seen in my hand? Can it be seen in my hand in the same way these two eyeshadow palettes can be seen in my hand? It has to be very physical. You can see me wearing this t-shirt. It means that it's physical. It's there in my hands. So, is it evidential? Does it physically exist on planet Earth? And I also do a topic, is there more than one? That's the second topic I do in order to get to this portion is there more than one, and is there more than one type, and is there more than one type or one function to the product that sees it feasible for me to give it a product name that then ends up in an eyeshadow palette. Okay, so the word evident has given me several different forms of words with the letter E. And yes, if you've read the Bible and you know the Bible, the letter E also represents the letter I. Because if you know that and you read the Bible, the letter I is either the letter E or the letter Y. The letter I doesn't really exist. If you know Roman numerals, and well, we have the country of Spain and Sweden. The letter I and the letter E doesn't exist. You have the letter Y for that reason, okay? So the letter I in some words translates in another language to either the letter E or the letter Y. So you have the word evident right here, and I'm just going to read off the first two that I got. Evidence is, well, spelt down this way. Okay? Spelt down sidebar, you have evidence, victorious, independent, dividends, emotional, nevertheless, or time framed. And I keep running when I do a lot of notes for future prospects, I keep running into time framed video when it comes to the word evidence. So I still need to keep a hold on to this sheet. Unfortunately, I can't Edward Scissorhand this one because I need to expand other words that have the measure of time frame there in order to be able to probably possibly connected to a song in a time framed form. Okay? So that's the word evidence. And then the next word is relief, of which I already have the answer for relief, which is it's the it's the body wash. I showed it in an earlier video today. It's the body wash. Relief is the mango one. Relief is R is rewind, E is evolved, L is laughable, I is imaginable, E is evolvable. The first word, sorry, let me do that again. R is rewind, E is evoke, L is laughable, I is imaginable. He E again is evocable and F is favorable. And then finally, the other word out of that E from evident is the word everlasting. You have the letter E for equal, V for valued, E for evidential, R for ringing. And by the way, we do have a song that Beyonce ring the alarm. R for ringing in the word everlasting. L for largely, A for alive, Beyonce alive, S for shortened, once again, T for time framed, which is attached to No New Friends, Adrian Frame. He's in a word. He's in a word, and the word is everlasting. So time framed is equal to Adrian Frame in the word everlasting, which is connected to me. And then you have I, imaginable. The word N, negotiation, which is attached to Edward Robinson. Edward Robinson is attached to the word negotiation. And then you have the letter G, which is attached to Gordon Robinson in the word giveaways. So that's expanding and expansion, as in what's the product and have I given the product a name already based off of those evidential factor. And I have that many pages of evidential images in order to get to Adrian Frame and Gordon Robinson on the first page. Okay? And here's what I do in order to savor the words, of which I also apparently now I can categorize these because we'll do the information a little bit later, you said. Here's the words that will possibly turn into another song very, very soon. So please do not plagiarize as the music is already prepared. I'm just reading them to you a cappella. Over, around, to the top, from the ground. Up, 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 all the way round. Never mind, facts and lies. Never mind, the sinner's wine. All from, well, the word evidence. Never mind, the sinner's wine. Never too deep, in can sink. You wear the floaties not to sink. 3 minutes up, 3 minutes down, water drown, water drown. And that's to the word victorious in the word evidence. You never bow, you never know when to sit, you always know when to quit. You didn't eat the soy sauce, bitch. And that's to the word independence. The telephone rings, you already quit. The devil is a liar, you never really got hired. I.e., to the word dividends, i.e., therefore using the factor of what are other connected words that can work in operative form of. And that's how I write my music. So you can't think like me. You can try and sing like me, but you can't think like me until you start eating from the same breakfast that I eat from. But I eat Exodus 20, verse 15. Don't steal my food because I'll chop your fingers off for that too. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. See y'all in the next one. Bow.